Coming up next on Her Business Playbook.
As a new bank, we have to establish trust. Fortunately, we have a phenomenal bank team that has already established that level of trust with many people. We have a great, great board. I mean, we were very intentional who we handpicked to be on the board, but it's about building the relationship. And it's about being thoughtful that it's more than the deposit dollar or the loan amount, but it's how can we help you get from point A to point B in a manner that's going to set you up for success.
The Her Business Playbook podcast is presented in partnership with the Columbus Chamber of Commerce. Hi team, today's episode is a powerful one because we're talking about building trust at scale and what it takes to create a strong financial services brand that people don't just recognize, but they believe in. I'm joined by three founders of Fortuna Bank, one of approximately 14 certified women-owned banks in the United States, based in Columbus, Ohio. Lisa Berger, who is the founder, Ilaria Rawlins, the co-founder, and Christie Angel, one of the first board members of the bank. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Jumping into the questions. What brand do you recall making a big impression on you as a girl?
As a girl, meaning in time, when I was young.
Yeah.
I mean, the one that sticks out, although it's probably obvious, is Nike. Just when I was a kid, I feel like Nike was the only athletic wear to have, to buy, to own, to use. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's the one that jumps out at me.
Yeah, and they're evolving, but so very strong still today.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
But now there's a lot of competition.
Oh, there is. Yeah. There is.
I feel like mine's silly, but I wrote down Hello Kitty because I remember going to the mall every weekend with my best friend, and one of the stores we would always stop into was the Hello Kitty store. But it was more than just the stickers that were in there. It was about kind of what we did after, and it was collecting the stickers and then trading the stickers with friends. And then it was like a community event. It was girls trading stickers and becoming friends. And I don't know, to me, I think it always goes back to that community. And it's a trend that I've now noticed looking back over my life and my career. That's something that always sticks out for me.
She's a good interviewee. That's a good answer.
It is a good one. It is, and it's still a strong brand too.
Still a strong brand.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, Christie, what about you?
The brand that sticks out to me, and I've got a few years probably on the three of you, but Barbie. Mm-hmm. Barbie, I mean, no matter whether it was a real Barbie or another doll that resembled Barbie, you called it Barbie, and there were Barbie everything, right? You know, I had a house and a van and a bus. I don't know, I had all of this stuff.
All
right?
the things.
If it came in the door and it was pink and flowery or what have you, I called it Barbie whatever. I made it Barbie, and it was, when I was coming up, that was the thing. And so that brand just stuck with me. That and Kleenex. And the reason why I say Kleenex is because we call everything Kleenex, right? Everything. It's like everything is.
You surprised me on that one.
Tissue. It's just.
Everything.
But it's just like Band-Aid. I mean, those are like the brands, like to this day, mm-hmm. No matter what their brand name is, I still call it. It's a Kleenex. It's a Band-Aid.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have not been surprised. That one surprised me. That's a good one. So let's talk about personal brand, right? We're going to get into business branding, but what about your personal brand and how you feel that it has evolved over the years? Just thinking back to when you were a girl, if you will. But if you could talk about your personal brand, what do you believe people come to rely on you for? What do they expect of you? And how has it changed over the years?
I think for me, I've always recognized the importance of team, whether I was a young girl and on a soccer team or a volleyball team. And so I feel like the ability to build a team recognizing that not everybody has the same strengths, and building a group around you to be able to be successful is probably what people see in me when they're thinking about my own brand. But I think along with that, it's, entrepreneurial mindset. It's over time, I've become more confident. I remember I didn't use my voice in my early 20s. Today I do. And then at the end of the day, it's all about, for me, it's really all about building relationships and making people feel good.
So Lisa, how about you?
I think that my brand, I think people think of me as a leader, and they always have. I always have been a leader since middle school, right? President of middle school, president of my school. And I still consider myself a leader, but it has changed over the years. When I was younger, I think that being a leader, but also fulfilling other people's expectations was important. It's become much more important over the years that I make myself happy and not necessarily take the path that other people have forged for me. So that's taken sort of an entrepreneurial bent in the last, call it 15 years or so. Because, when I first graduated from law school, I went and did, I think, what people expected me to do, which was join a big law firm, go practice real estate law. But I was pretty unhappy doing that. So I decided to sort of take the reins and take control and continue being a leader, but, I bought a company. That's made me super happy. So it's evolved.
And founded a bank.
Founded
That
a
little
bank.
thing.
Right. Had an idea.
Yeah, right? Christie, how about you? What about your personal brand?
Oh gosh. Well, I would say, like Ilaria and Lisa, that early thread of leadership, is also kind of what I was known for, in school, led, some clubs, and, Jane Grody Abel, who many of you know, would tell you I was her squad leader on drill team and all of those kinds of, fun things, right? And even as a young child, the story of my family is that my cousins would all come over, and I was younger than them, and I would say, the kids are here. Okay, this is what we're going to do. And I would plan the day. They probably called me bossy back then, but we don't use those terms anymore.
Oh, yeah.
But, so that leadership, theme has reigned true, in my roles. But, as most of you know, I've had a career in public service. I had a career in nonprofit. I had a career in for-profit. And, the consistent thread has always been, community, with that sprinkle of leadership, and, I think consistent. I've been a consistent, tried to be, consistent in kind of all of my roles and with people that I've worked with, and, with my friend group, always being consistent in my family. And those are kind of those through lines, even as things have changed. And, for a number of years, I was always someone's go-to for policy, right? Public policy, community issues, those kinds of things. And as my career evolved, those things, they stayed the same. They were there, but they kind of, pushed to the background, because then I, learned new skills and so forth. And so then when I decided to, buy into a firm and become an entrepreneur, people were like, didn't see that one coming. And I was like, did you see anything coming? I mean, seriously, I like the pivot. I'd like to take a few risks. So I tell people that I am one of the original, we're the Gen Xers, right? And I'm actually the last year of the boomer, but I claim the Xer because I was raised like an Xer. But we are the ones that decided we're not going to stay in our careers, the same career, for 30 years. We're probably going to make some moves, and I think that pivot has been another kind of consistency with me.
Oh, yeah, that's a great way to describe you. I would attest to that, Christie, for sure. So let's talk about what a real behind the scenes day looks like for you. Certainly we'll get into what it takes to run a bank. But what does being behind the scenes look like as a board member, as co-leaders of this brand? What does that look like on any given day?
I think from a CEO perspective, it's, first and foremost, it's all about growth. And so thinking about what's our strategy, what does our client outreach look like, who are we talking to that day, not only on deposit side, but on the loan side as well, and what relationships are we building? And at the end of the day, that's kind of the most important piece. But there's so much, I think banking is so much more complex than that. So we also have compliance, we have marketing and branding, we have operations, we have, there's a team of 14 of us, which doesn't sound large, but everyone's doing something and holds a really important role to be able to keep people's money safe and to make sure that we can help people move money and make smart financial decisions. And so I'd like to think that I really act more as the quarterback of that and kind of making sure that I'm touching base with everybody to understand what are their highest priorities that day, what are their objectives, while also connecting with the community, reaching out to other CEOs for ideation. And so it's ever changing, which is what I love about it. Not every day is the same. It's very entrepreneurial in nature, but it's, I think I just texted Lisa this morning and said, I have 75 balls in the air at any given time. And that's the reality, is that there's no typical day.
Yeah. I was going to answer for Ilaria and say, for Ilaria, I think the typical day starts as chaos. Yeah. I mean, controlled chaos, but chaos. She's doing so much. We're a startup still. I mean, we just celebrated our 1-year anniversary. And for me, I sit back a little bit, and it's sometimes hard. But I mean, Ilaria and I touch base pretty much every day. And I'm still out there trying to, get clients, convince people what a great experience they'll have banking at Fortuna. Inviting people to become part of this community, and it truly is, and is growing to be a community. So in terms of the bank, for me, on a daily basis, it's touching base with Ilaria and see if there's anything that I can do to support her. But for Ilaria, I think it is a lot of balls in the air.
How about you, Christie? Just given your background, you're a board member, you certainly have other important roles outside of the bank as well professionally, but what does a behind the scenes look like for you as a board member more specifically?
Well, first of all, it's thinking about, what have I done to support the bank, right? And, trying to, and I'm getting better at this, remember that there are so many people that I touch base with that could be future customers of the bank, and to tell them about the bank. I had someone most recently over the holiday break say, I didn't know you were on the board of Fortuna, and I'm very close with this person, but we don't typically talk about, work or like, we don't talk as much about kind of the professional aspects of our lives as we do when we catch up about, families and all of those things. And so, somehow over a few girlfriend trips and what have you, I missed saying that I was on the board of Fortuna. And she was like, we're doing a training for them in February. We're going to open an account. And I was like, or we're thinking about opening an account. I was like, no, I need you to open an account. There's no other bank for you. Yeah. This is the right bank, and here's why, right? And I'm like, my elevator pitch is getting a lot better. And my thoughtfulness about the bank and who can be a customer of the bank, because, that's what leads to our success, right? Customers, loans, all of those things, that's part of the special ingredients, and that's part of the reason why, I'm here, and I believe in what we are building here. And so there's that. If it's close to board meeting time, it's getting my emails from Ilaria and the team and reading and getting up to speed, right, and being prepared for board meetings. That's a very important part of the work. This is not a board where you can phone it in and mail it in. I'm not a banker, and nor have I ever aspired to be one, and therefore it takes a little bit more intentionality and preparedness for me to understand kind of what's going on and read through things. I'm on a committee that probably wouldn't have been the committee that I would have selected, but I'm glad that someone probably Lisa, said, Christie's going to be on audit. And that would not have been my first choice, but actually... Voluntold. But my coach told me that actually is the right committee for me because, it's pushing me outside of my boundaries. And she's like, if you want to join other kinds of boards, you need to be on an audit committee. So, that's really what it is. I whipped out my debit card recently, and I was going to use it for something, and someone was like, what is that? Because she said, that's such a pretty card.
It is.
It is a pretty card. And I had a chance to do a bank commercial. So, right on the spot in TJ Maxx, by the way. Probably shouldn't have been in TJ Maxx. I don't need to go in TJ Maxx ever again. But, that's what it's like for me, and I need to get better at it, especially as we enter our second year. I wanted to continue to be top of mind and continue to remind people the bank is here and to join the bank, explore the bank, etc.
Just hang out with me. My people are so sick of hearing me.
But don't you even think that's just a natural? Guys will talk about money and finances and opportunities, and naturally that's not a space that I think, and I'll hypergeneralize, but that's not a space that we automatically fall into. And that's what I love about what we're trying to do, is that we're trying to make it something that's a little bit more top of mind for everybody. Because money is important.
Yeah. And most of the time people don't just say, well, who do you bank with?
Right.
No one says that, right? And we aren't talking about our businesses, women generally, our businesses. Oh, I may need to take out a line of credit. Oh, I may need to, I want to buy a building or what have you. We're not built like that. We don't talk about those things as much as I think men do. I think men talk about it.
Yeah.
Like,
it's almost like a competition.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have to kind of reprogram ourselves.
I agree. Is there another business brand that you admire or look to for inspiration? Ilaria, you were sharing a practice that you make of looking outside of the industry at times, but I'm curious for the three of you, who do you admire from a business brand perspective?
I'll go. Like you mentioned, I try to be innovative in thought. I think banking is a heavily commoditized industry, so everyone can offer deposits and loans and banking products. So how can we differentiate ourselves? Banking is really ripe for innovation. Banks have been doing the same thing for hundreds of years. That's probably too long, but let's say 50 years. So how can we do something differently and really engage the client from a different angle? So I look to retail quite a bit. I look to restaurants. Recently I jumped on the Peloton bandwagon because I think there's been a rebirth there, and they've really focused after having some initial tremendous success and a crash. I think they've had a rebirth and found community has been really important to them. And that's what we've kind of hung our hat on as well, is that it's more than just being a bank client. It's how can we help entrepreneurs connect with other people that can help them build their own brand. And so for us, it's all about connecting people beyond the bank, but really helping to help people think differently. And so that's kind of where I've looked.
Mm-hmm. How about the two of you? Any business brands that you admire or look to for inspiration?
So my day-to-day, my 9 to 5 is still title insurance. I still work for a big title insurance underwriter, and I think everybody at the table can agree that insurance is pretty boring. Nobody really goes around talking about how great their insurance company is. But I do think that, you're gonna laugh, Aflac has done a tremendous job with their branding.
Yeah.
I mean, people know, I don't know that you could name another insurance company out there. Certainly not a title insurance company.
Exactly.
I think that Aflac, as far as insurance goes, they've done a great job.
I agree.
Yeah.
They have a brand.
Mascot.
They have a mascot.
Yep.
But there's one that says no mascots, and then there's that emu.
Liberty Mutual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love those. Yeah, I love
That's
those
true.
commercials.
That's pretty good too.
Yeah, that is pretty good, isn't
Yeah.
it? Well, look, the Starbucks brand is still a very strong brand, right? You see the green and white and of course I feel like I'm just led right there. I have to get a cup of coffee.
Oh yes, all those investments.
Yes, exactly. It's still just one of those brands. Again, you see it no matter where you are in the world. The other brand that I admire, and there have been times when I have kind of loathed, is, especially when I was at YWCA, is the YMCA brand. The YMCA brand, they have oranges in their brand, their color, right? And I'm a YWCA-er. People, no matter, they always call YWCA, YMCA. They always, right? I mean, that brand, and I'm like, why? I was always like, oh my gosh, why is it so strong? And like in their mind, we were always like, no, women, we would do like this, women, not men. But it is a strong brand. I mean, it has been, around for hundreds of years. They're in every community.
The Village People really help.
The Village People and the song.
True.
And, there's a resurgence a little bit of the song, right? So, those are a couple.
Yeah. Let's jump into what we call our free throw, rapid fire questions. Give us the first answer that comes to mind. No overthinking. We're just going to have a little bit of fun to help folks get to know you better. Ready to jump right in? Mm-hmm. All right. One word to describe Fortuna Bank's brand personality. What do you think? Who wants to go first?
Feel good.
Feel good.
I was going to say supportive.
What do you think, Christie?
New and fresh.
All right. What member of this team is most likely to respond to a text message first?
Lisa.
What's your game face song right now? Do you have a favorite tune that you play to get pumped up, to get more positive, to change your mood? What's on your playlist?
I'm old-fashioned. My oldie go-to, I have sort of the Indigo Girls playlist on, ready to go at all times.
Okay.
I'm anything Justin Timberlake.
Oh.
Anything Justin Timberlake.
I did not know that about
Okay. Good to know.
I always like We Are the Champion. Like if I need to get pumped up and get going. Exactly, yes.
So let's learn about your coffee or tea order. What are you drinking on a big meeting day? It might not even be coffee or tea, but what's in your cup?
I'm coffee. It's got to taste like dessert.
Oh, sweet.
Coffee with oat milk.
Okay.
Coffee, cream, 1 stevia.
Okay, they better get it right.
They better get it right.
Early bird or night owl? When do you do your best thinking?
Early.
Early, definitely.
All right.
I'm done past 8.
I was going to say, don't even try and talk to me
brain does
after
not work
8.
anymore.
No.
Not like that, anyway.
Yeah.
What's one habit that keeps you very sharp as a leader?
Coffee drinking.
Drinking some
It all comes back to the
cup
coffee.
of Joe.
Don't even talk to me unless I've had my coffee.
Okay.
I think being intentional about my time and staying connected with the team.
That was a way better answer.
I know, right?
I'm glad you're the CEO.
My Sunday habit, it drives my team crazy, but is for me to go through kind of my calendar, write some emails, and then send notes out and kind of get ready for the week. I think it, can be a bit of a, maybe not my current team. I think we're all kind of situated like that because we don't work together all of the time, but my YWCA team, it used to drive them crazy.
Oh.
And I realized that people thought they had to respond because I was emailing or sending, meeting invitations out and things like that. And I was like, you don't have to respond. So I figured out how to use the time, send, so that it wouldn't alert them.
I'm an early bird texter, an email or two, and I've had to catch myself, so totally get that. Oh, well, thank you for that. The bank recently celebrated its first year anniversary of opening its doors, which is an incredible milestone. Congratulations on that. Let's talk about the founding of the brand. What sparked the idea and any significant milestones that you believe helped to get it to where it is today?
Sure, yeah. So, boy, this is going back now to 2020? 2020. Actually, I'll take it back a little bit more. I owned a title company here in Columbus, and I sold it in 2016. As soon as I sold it, I knew that I wanted to create another company. But I was lucky, fortunate in that I didn't have any real time pressure. I didn't have, it didn't have to be within a certain amount of time. So I took my time, I looked around, I kind of went down a few rabbit holes looking for something to do. But I was actually pretty lucky in that my business partners had started 2 banks in Central Ohio. They had started one bank, First Bexley Bank, and sold it, where Ilaria was actually the first hire. Then they started a second bank. And at one point, my business partner said to me, hey, why don't you look into opening a minority-owned bank? He said, we really like minority-owned banks, but we're not minorities. He said, we couldn't do that, but we really sort of like that idea. So I started doing the research, and in doing my research, I found that out of the 4,500-ish or so banks in the country, only 14, as you alluded to, were women-owned. And at the time, of those 14, only 2 were opened intentionally, created intentionally to be women-owned. And I thought, that now sounds really interesting and intriguing to me. I am one of 3 girls. I'd spent my entire professional life in a very male-dominated industry, commercial real estate. I really was intrigued, and I approached one of my business partners and said, hey, you've done this a couple times. Is this something that would interest you if we went down this path? Mm-hmm. And he said he would be interested, and we both knew Ilaria. She was my banker at First Bexley Bank. And we both said, you know, this would be great if Ilaria would agree to be our CEO. And so we approached Ilaria, and I don't think it took much convincing. I'll let her tell her story from there. But yeah, so once we got Ilaria on board, she actually brought a mentor of hers on board. So sort of the 4 of us in about 2021 decided to go ahead and pull the trigger and give it a go.
Oh, yeah. Ilaria, was there a question that was top of mind or something that you were really maybe concerned you, or just what was one of your first questions when asked?
I don't think I had any questions, and this might actually be a flaw of my own, but it really probably, my personality index is a maverick, so I'll jump off a cliff without necessarily worrying about the risk associated with it. We had done it before at First Bexley Bank, and so I felt like I had the foundation that I knew how to do it. I probably didn't ask enough questions, but it was something that I was really passionate about doing. I mean, I think there's always concern of how are we going to get shareholders, you know, what's the product set going to look like? What's the team going to look like? Would I be able to convince team? But I'm an eternal optimist, probably to a fault, that I just have the confidence we will make it work.
Christie, yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's probably a problem because I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And I don't think that you should have 2 of those people on the same side.
Let's do it.
It's going to be fine.
We'll figure it out later.
They will.
25 cents, 50 cents. Oh, well.
Exactly.
How about you, Christie? What is your memory of being invited to join the board? If you could share what that experience was like and maybe some of the things that were top of mind for you.
Sure. Ooh. Well, I don't remember if it was 21 or 22 when Lisa invited me to lunch, I think. And I had known Lisa because I think every piece of real estate that we have ever, bought, sold, she did our title work. But Lisa and my husband have known each other since high school. So I, hadn't gotten to know her, that well, but of course, I accepted the invitation to lunch, and we start talking. She tells me, what she's thinking about, and I'm intrigued. I'm interested. I was leading the Y at the time. I understood the value, the benefit of community banks over some of the larger corporate banks, from a personal standpoint and from a business standpoint, right? And I learned, I think, about some of that through the hard way, actually, with some relationships or the lack thereof, or relationships that you thought were true relationships that maybe were a little bit more, weren't the relationships that you had come to, expect. And so, nevertheless, as we're having the conversation, I just remember, Lisa telling me about, becoming an organizer. And she was only talking to a few people, I think, at the time. And I'm on the edge of the seat. And I'm like, yes, I'm interested. And she said, well, organizers. I said, well, what's the initial investment? And she said, $100,000. And I remember I was like, keep a straight face. Just keep a straight face.
Is that all? 100%?
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, take a breath. And I said, okay, I believe I'm interested. Of course, it's money, right? I wanted to think about it. And we had been a part of organizing another bank or investing in another bank. And that had left an interesting kind of, it sat with me in probably in a different way, not being included, not being considered, everything going through my husband. And yet, my money was still part of the investment. And, that experience really left me kind of, one, intrigued about starting these banks, to, one, have their mission, of course, be banks, but also have, the very intentional and purposeful mission. This is a mission that is near and dear to my heart. I've lived my life, investing in supporting, especially from a philanthropic perspective, organizations like the Matriots and the Women's Fund, the YWCA, we can name a few of those. You and I have even been, at board tables in some of those organizations. And so, nevertheless, I also wanted to make the decision solely, I wanted it to be my decision. And actually, I'm married to someone who understands that it should be my decision. And so while I told him what I was thinking about, he was like, yeah, you got this. And I figured, the rest of it out, and said yes to making the investment and being an organizer, then invited me to the board table. So I was very happy that I said yes to having lunch with Lisa. I think we had lunch in your office. Our lunches got all...
I think so. We did. Yeah, we said.
Our calendars didn't work, and we were like, you ordered lunch in the office, and the rest is history.
The rest is history.
She invited me.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing that. I think that's reflective of an experience that a lot of us have had, and we don't talk enough about, and hopefully talking about it does change some of those dynamics, if not all.
And can I say this?
Yeah.
If it didn't give me pause or, that's a big number, right? So if I didn't think about it or if I didn't say, ooh, that I'd probably have to have my head examined a little bit, otherwise. Not that, some people, maybe it doesn't, but I think any investment of, a certain amount, or sometimes any investment in a business that you aren't as familiar with, it's going to give you pause. You're going to say, let me do some research, let me understand it, et cetera. I did ask questions later, right? Who's involved, who's it? And I knew that Lisa was putting together a team. I think we went to lunch. Mm-hmm. Tony, Ilaria, myself, we all went to lunch, and all of those things continue to give me confidence in Lisa and the team that she was assembling and you were assembling it. It was like, I was like just hand-to-hand combat. She is like getting this person and getting this person in, right? But that gave me a lot of confidence. Yeah. Having watched other people build businesses, I was like, she knows what she's doing. They know what they're doing. And that also, and they're laughing.
I'm glad she thought so.
No, but I did. You instilled confidence in me to make the investment and that we were going to get there.
Yeah. And Lisa, what about some of those significant milestones over the years? What comes to mind as those pivotal moments that's critical to getting you to where you are right now?
Yeah, there are a few that come to mind. The biggest hurdle, and I know Ilaria knows what I'm going to say, was when we finally hit the investment mark. When we submitted our application to the regulators, they the process has the regulators examine our application, and then they come back and tell us how much money we need as investors, from investors, in order to open our doors. And the number we were given, we had to raise $20 million to start with. And it sounded like a big number, but it sounded achievable. It clearly was achievable. We got there and then some, but it was a much more difficult and rigorous process than I ever had imagined it would be.
What was so hard about it?
Great question. I'll tell you the hardest part about it was, in order to be a women-owned bank, to call ourselves a women-owned bank, we had to have more than 50% of our investment dollars from women. And that was really hard.
Lisa, did you think it would be as hard as
No shot.
Never.
No, never thought it would be as hard. We were really surprised.
Well, and we dropped the entry amount. I think when you typically form a bank, the entry to become a shareholder is around $50,000 to $100,000. We dropped it to 10, knowing that we would be speaking with women who may have never seen a private equity investment.
Exactly. And who often don't make investment decisions for their households. So it took a lot. I think we spoke to about 1,000 women. Ultimately, to get, we have about 375 shareholders, 75%, 73-ish% of which are women. So we're very proud of that. But it took some time, and that was a definite milestone when we achieved that. And I'll just throw a really quick thing in. For me, a milestone was, after opening our doors, NPR did a podcast on us. And for me, that was something unexpected, but it's definitely sort of a checklist item that that I was super proud of. Yeah.
Let's talk about balancing the need to build trust. You're dealing with people's investments, you're dealing with their money, their savings. How has your business and the board been able to balance building a brand that folks need to be able to trust alongside the need to perform financially? How do you balance the two?
I think it's being very cautious in how, and maybe not cautious, but thoughtful about how we interact with people that we are thinking about onboarding from a client relationship perspective. Because I think it's really easy to go to lunch with somebody, I'm the CEO of a bank, and the expectation to be, okay, we want your bank accounts, move them all over. As a new bank, we have to establish trust. Fortunately, we have a phenomenal bank team that has loads of experience in banking, has their own kind of client network base, has already established that level of trust with many people. We have a great board who also, we were very intentional who we handpicked to be on the board because we wanted different areas of expertise. We wanted different levels of engagement with the community. And we also needed to make sure that they were very, very trustworthy, because at the end of the day, when you're representing someone's money, that's crucial. But it's about building the relationship, and it's about being thoughtful that it's more than the deposit dollar or the loan amount, but it's how can we help you get from point A to point B in a manner that's going to make you and set you up for success.
And I think Ilaria and her team do that exceptionally well. They really do. Yeah.
Any other thoughts? All right. You talked about team and just how important it is. You're a really great team. The chemistry is very evident. What about the day-to-day folks, the frontline folks? What do you think makes them special? What do you really look for in terms of inviting someone to join the team?
I've been fortunate to be able to handpick this team for the most part, especially the front line. It's the space I grew up in, banking and the kind of the retail side. But for me, what I look for is compassion, sense of urgency. When we have a client call, the expectation is, or text or email, the expectation is that we get right back to them. It's not, I have 24 hours, I can get back to them tomorrow. It's all about what can we do to make the client or the prospect feel good and feel good about the relationship. And so ultimately, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, banking expertise. We can teach them that. So it's all about how do they build relationships? How do they speak with clients? How do they react to a need? How do they react under pressure? We live in a startup bank. I think you would think that banking is so structured and organized. In a startup bank, there's a lot of ambiguity, and that makes people uncomfortable. And so it's being okay living in that space of the unknown and what does tomorrow bring, or what system works and what doesn't work, and how do we find the answer? Because we don't have a help desk that we can call and say, this isn't working, what's our solution? We have to figure it out ourselves.
We're going to talk about scoreboard. In the world of brand marketing, it can be a little difficult, talk about gray, right, to evaluate the value of your brand, if your branding is working. How do you evaluate what's working from a brand reputation perspective? How have you been able to say, okay, we're moving the needle, this brand is growing, we're getting to where we want to be in the minds of our customer base?
I feel like we're still in the infancy of the days. We've been really intent on organic growth. As a startup, we have limited funds to be able to spend in kind of a formal brand marketing. So when we talk about when we made the entry level to become a shareholder of the bank at $10,000, our goal with that was 70% of our shareholders would, at minimum, I mean, at the end of the day, we'd like 100%, but our internal goal was 70% of our shareholders will be our clients. That's our growth plan from day one and day two. If you own Coca-Cola stock, why are you drinking Pepsi? So it's all about, we want our shareholders to be our clients, our brand ambassadors, our referral network. And so that to us is kind of the metric that we're watching, is how many of them do we have? They have an invested interest in our success. So how many of them do we have on board as clients, helping us scream from the top of the roofs how wonderful the experience is?
We pull out that shareholder list a lot.
Yeah.
And look and see, who do we need to go talk to? Whose support do we have? Who do we need to drop a thank you note to? And I mean, that investor list is important.
And reminding those investors, hey, have you opened your account? Don't forget, because I get, people get busy, moving your bank accounts, is probably, you're like, maybe I'd rather go to the dentist, I'm not sure. But, I think back to what Lisa just said and what Ilaria said, you've made this investment, support and secure your investment. If you were an investor in Coke, you wouldn't drink Pepsi, right? And it's the same thing. It's like, get your accounts opened, or, move your accounts, come to the bank, come experience the bank. I think the experience of the bank, most people aren't walking in banks anymore. I get that. But walking in this bank is a different kind of experience. And Ilaria has assembled, I think, a team that exemplifies everything that she is in a leader. And they bring such a high level of customer service that it's unmatched. I mean, I don't see that, in other banks. I happen to still go into a bank here and there. I've got some family members who they want you to go into the bank for them. And so, I just respect, what the CEO of the year, by the way, has built. And I want others to experience it and to know that, your money's safe, but also your investment is solid and safe.
Yeah. Fumbles and recoveries. So surely, throughout your journeys, there has been some things that you look back on like, wow, I really did step in that. When you think about the story of the bank, is there anything that you did from a brand development or branding perspective that you guys learned from or pivoted from? It just didn't work.
I don't know about didn't work. There were definite hurdles that I guess if they're hurdles or fumbles, you don't expect them. But debit cards come to mind.
Yeah.
If you bank somewhere, you open an account, a customer expects to be able to use a debit card. We did not realize we couldn't apply for debit cards until we had something called BIN numbers, which you don't get BIN numbers assigned until you open your doors. We opened our doors, applied for our BIN numbers, and then we were told, okay, we can have debit cards for you in originally 12 months. 12 months.
So they pushed to 9 or 6 or something?
Right. So we had to tell our customers, we can't issue you a debit card.
Right.
We did push hard on our provider. We got them issued, I think, maybe in 8 months instead of 12. But it was a problem at first. That's the major one that comes to mind, because every month we'd sit at the board meeting and we'd say, where are we on those? Where are we on the debit cards? Yeah. I don't. You'd know maybe better if there are others, but
No, I think that's been our biggest hurdle today, because you think about how do people move money today. 20 years ago, it was via check, so it was really easy to say, stop writing checks on your old account, start writing checks on your new account, and we'll get this transferred. When you can't move money electronically, it becomes a challenge, and so that's definitely kind of a year-one challenge. I was thinking about when we were raising money, we actually went out to a third party to try and help us raise capital, and spent a little bit of money to get them on board to help us find investors, maybe a little bit more nationwide. It really, and it didn't work. I mean, that was a flop.
they didn't bring in $1.
And it really reinforced that money is very personal, and that it's very, very relationship driven, and that we needed to be able to have a connection with people to be able to want to invest with us. So, yeah.
Great story.
Purposely.
Great story.
I know, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's not really that.
Well, what's next for the bank? What's next from a brand reputation growth perspective? Is there anything that folks should be looking forward to? What's next in your mind?
Yeah, I think from a growth is our 2026.
Growth.
That's
Growth,
it.
period.
I mean,
End of story.
we have to grow. We have our debit cards. We have all the features in place. If you're banking at an existing bank, we can do all of the same things that an existing bank can do. So we're heavily focused on growth 2026. I say that we also have pillars. We're mission driven. So we talk about being philanthropic in kind of the female entrepreneur space. So continuing to put on financial education for female entrepreneurs and women, mentorship opportunities, networking opportunities. That's really important to us, and continuing to kind of formalize what those programs look like. And at the end of the day, building a larger, more inclusive community, where not only our clients, but our shareholders, our employees are all kind of leaning on each other for support and help. But we need to grow. So.
I hear you. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. It's just been incredible getting behind the scenes here on site at the bank, being able to see the brand up close and personal, and to really hear your firsthand perspective. So we can't thank you enough for the conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening and watching. We want to thank our presenting sponsor, the Columbus Chamber of Commerce, Brainstorm Media, and Kylie Lovesy Design. Listen and watch wherever you get your podcasts, and visit us online at herbusinessplaybook.com.